Hello, welcome to Revelate Alpha. Hope you're all well. So I have been a busy bee here in the old studio, trying to get a few projects on the go. And I thought I'd come and do another live show. Lots going on here. Lots going on in the motorcycle world. Lots going on in different news things. I thought before I get into that, I just thought I'd let you know what I've been doing. I've been going around the house changing all my bulbs. I already had a load of these. I keep on forgetting what the name of these bulbs are. They're LED bulbs, but what are they called? GU10s or something. GU10 bulbs. And it was reminding me the other day because I went into a shop and I was looking I'm always going into shop like hardware shops, DIY shops, and then okay, can I use something for my workshop or can I use something else on bikes? And so I was looking at electrical stuff, and then I thought, actually, I need a whole load of bulbs for the house. So I've been going around the house changing all these bloody things, and they've been really tricky to change because there's hardly any cord on the connector for these. Anyway, so GU10 LED bulbs. That's what I've been doing. The other thing I've been doing, I think I mentioned this in a video a while ago, about trying to take out the moisture out of the air if you're storing your bike over winter, and I use these things. They're called interior dehumidifiers. Basically, they absorb all the moisture out of the air. You can put loads of these in a workshop, let's say, which you want to have ventilated anyway, but in a shed if you're storing something. You can. They don't cost that much. I think about, I got a pack of 25 just now, and I can't remember what I paid. It's 15 quid or something like that. 10 quid. It's not a great deal of money, but the point here is that you can put all these around, and it just helps to keep that moisture away from your pride and joy. I use these especially for my Breaking Bad camper, my motorhome. Because especially as it's getting old and the seals are going a little bit, you're always going to get some moisture buildup, especially in the winter, actually any time of the year. So I have these all year round, just dotted about my camper. Anyway, so I thought I'd let you know, right? Because I made a video about this, to say, a while ago, about storing motorcycles over winter, and I mentioned these, I think, but I'm not sure if I actually showed them. So this is exactly what it is. Anyway, nothing to do with bikes, I grant you. But anyway, let's get on to the news, shall we? Because it's quite interesting. There's some. If you're in the chat. Let me just put the live chat on here. There we go. If you're watching the video, if you're watching the live show, let us know where you're from in the chat, and showing your support and your love and all that kind of stuff. It's always very much appreciated. I say, if you've got any questions, let us know. If you've got any thoughts on what I've been saying, either in the chat or put it in the comments below. So I'm trying to do a lot more of these live shows now. One, because I like doing them, right? In all fairness, I've always, ever since I've been doing YouTube for years and years and years, I've always enjoyed doing the live shows, and it's got to the point, actually, I kind of enjoy them more than making videos as well, especially these just talking to the camera kind of opinion videos, which I do a lot more of these days, I've got to say. And I've sort of changed where I've done videos over the last sort of year, 2 years, and it's been more about this. And I like sharing my ideas more, and whether people like that or not, but I feel more comfortable doing this these days. But anyway, I thought I'd talk about a couple of things that have come up in the motorcycle world. So one of the things, let me just bring it up here for you, just so you can all see it as well, is the new Screaming Eagle kit from Harley-Davidson. And I thought, okay, this is an interesting thing. First of all, do we need another Screaming Eagle kit from Harley-Davidson, right? I mean, that, lots of people are going to be discussing that. Let me just bring it up here so you can actually see this for yourself. And then you'll have you'll be able to give me your judgments. Okay? So right now, here it is. There we go. It is it's a Screaming Eagle, and it's this 125 kit, Screaming Eagle Stage 3 kit. And this is from Visor Down. I'm just showing you the actual article. And the new Screaming Eagle kit is designed for an American company's CVO range. Currently, Harley-Davidson has 4 CVO models that sit within its Grand American Touring lineup. Okay, CVO Street Glide ST, Road Glide ST, Street Glide, and Street Glide Limited, right? All 4 models make use of the brand's Milwaukee 121 engine. And the new kit now offers an increase to 125 in real money, right? So let me just come back to the camera here. So it's taken it from a 121 to a 125. Okay, means all 4 models have a displacement of 1977cc. However, the new kit takes that number north of 2 litres, so 2000cc. 2048cc to be exact. Although power increases vary slightly across the different models, so it's hardly anything here. Harley-Davidson says that the new kit delivers up to 15% more horsepower, which converts to 15 brake horsepower, and also generates an increase of 17% more torque. But when it compares to the ST models, those numbers are not quite as high, with power increased by 5% and torque by 4%. So if you've got the ST models, it doesn't, this kit doesn't up it up that much, 5%, 4%. If you've got the standard CVO 121, it ups it, what was it, 15%? Yeah, 15% and 17% respectively in terms of horsepower and terms of torque. Okay, so let me just get back to the web page so you can actually see it. So this is the kit, obviously cylinders, you know, piston rings, a cam, you know, 125 logoing, it's all there, right? It's in terms of the bump of power and torque, the non-ST Street Glide will go from delivering 113 to 133. Okay, that's quite impressive. The Street Glide and Road Glide ST will see their power figures go from 124 brake horsepower to 130. So not much of a big bump there, I've got to say. With this new fit kitted, the engine does away with its original equipment variable valve timing system, so you actually get rid of the VVT with this. Harley-Davidson says this Stage 3 kit has been developed to deliver the kind of real-world power increase touring riders will feel each time they roll on the throttle. And it will cost £2,000 here in the UK. £2,000, right? Or £2,066. I suppose this is an interesting point to consider. Interesting thing. Let's just have a look here. Hello there. How are you? Sorry, I'm just looking at the chat here as well. It's an interesting thing to consider here is whether you value the Screaming Eagle kit or any upstaging kit anyway. Given those performance figures out of the stock CVO, then you're probably getting a decent bump up there. With the STs, you're not getting much of it. So I would question for the STs, why would you do this, right? I don't think you're getting anything out of it, really. With the standard CVOs, and I would say, okay, yeah, you got a case there. The question here is whether you're willing to sacrifice the VVT for this. So that's the interesting thing. You know, why would you want to do this if you're a Harley-Davidson owner, CVO owner? I mean, you've already spent an absolute mint on this bike already. Granted, okay, you know, you could argue that, well, actually, I'll just buy a used one, so that's going to save me a bit of money, maybe a year old, something like that, and you want to add more to it. I think, you know, you get into the realms of, well, doing it for its own sake, not actually getting it into real performance. And I just wonder why you would. I mean, you're gonna have to convince me why this is a good idea, why this is something that I'm sure there'd be many people out there who would look at this and go, the Screaming Eagle kit, Stage 3 for the CVOs and the STs, yeah, I like it. I like what I'm seeing here. And, you know, It's a couple of thousand, maybe to have it fitted, unless you're going to do this yourself, of course. But again, getting rid of the VVT, I think you probably want some qualified hands on this as well, unless you already know what you're doing, of course. But let's just say you double this. Let's just say 4,000, for labour as well. Let's just say round it up. I know it's not. I'm making these figures up as I go. Let's just say £5,000, dollars, shekels, whatever it is, right? You spend another 5,000 on the already let's just quickly check on the Harley-Davidson site here in the UK, of course. Let me just quickly go back to the web page so you can see what I'm seeing as well. So the Harley-Davidson one here in the Grand America Touring. Here we go. Let's just go for the Street Glide ST. It is 41,495, right? I think the Road Glide ST is exactly the same, isn't it? The CVO, 41,495, right? Let's just go for the CVO Street Glide, which is this one. This is 45,995. Obviously, because you've got better, not better tech necessarily, but more refined in many ways. And then you got the limited version CVO, which is 42,995. So 42,995 for the limited, and 45 for the Street Glide. Let me just quickly check that again. Was that right? Okay. So there we go. So you were talking between 45,000 pounds. If you add this, of course, onto that, then of course you're taking up to, obviously for the CVO Street Glide here, north of £50,000, dollars, shekels, whatever that is, right? Of course. So I would question, well, why would you do that? I think there is definitely a case where less is more. You can tinker too much. You can do too much. You've already spent a fortune on this bike. And I question, why would you want to go and spend even more on a bike, even more doing it up? It's and I'm just going to get a couple of messages here as well. There we go. I'm picking the wrong thing here. Why am I doing that? I'll just do that. There we go. Oops. Why is that not going there? Sorry, I'm having problems in actually getting the chat up here. Let me just do that. Do that. There we go. Sorry, I can't put the chat up for some reason. It won't let me go. I'll just read it out as well. Hello from Haida. How are you? You were on yesterday. Hello. From Sky Lookman. Harley-Davidson motorcycles should be bought by Hero Motor Club of India. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if that happens in the future as well, I've got to say. So you're spending all this money on the CVOs. And then you want to go and spend another 4,000 or 5,000, okay, maybe less, right? 3,000 or 4,000 on putting this on your bike for, in some cases of a marginal gain, but in the other case, 17% change. Some people will find value in that. I'm not so sure I would. I would look at this and go, I'm not so sure that this is what everybody needs to do. I'm not sure that this is the right thing to do in many cases, but I could be, I'm looking at this from, would you want to do this? Harley-Davidson, they're going to always try and give you a kit. Say, you can add this and you will bump up the figures and you will make it more. If you were buying a used bike, and let's say for 20,000, whatever, and then you could add this to it, I would say, okay, you're getting value there. I can understand it. But buying a brand new bike and then just adding this, I'm not sure I'm with you on that one. I'm not sure I would necessarily do this. Irrespective of your views on warranties and things like that and who's going to do the work and all that, I'm just not sure why you'd want to do it. I'm not even sure why you'd want to do it. How much is enough for most people? Now, granted, most people are not going to do this. They're just, in fact, in the touring world, I don't know what the performance figures are or what the figures are, but actually most people are not putting these up and touching them. They just run them stock in most cases. Yeah, just doing a little bit here and there, but most people are not doing it. In the YouTube world, of course, everybody does this. They put this cam on, they put this exhaust on, everything. But most people, when they're buying these stuff, unless they got a surplus of money, unless they buy into this kind of constantly tinkering with your brand new bike, most people buy new bikes and just leave them alone for a little bit. It's only when they get a few years on, they start adding a few years to the bike, or you buy a used bike, that's when you start tinkering. I'm saying that's my impression of it as well. But listen, it's an interesting thing here from Harley-Davidson to do this. I'm not surprised they do it. I'm just wondering, could they have put their efforts into doing something else? Putting this kit on for somebody else. I think the interesting thing here for me is your view of variable valve timing for the Harley-Davidsons in this case. Do you value it or don't you value it? If you don't value it, then you might be thinking, well, actually, I want to go the other way. I want to go back to the Screaming Eagle Kit 3. But if you do value it, then I'm just wondering why. There are lots of benefits to variable valve timing. There's lots of, but this comes down to mentality. This comes down to marketing. This comes down to identity, what you believe you should be looking at. So, look, I thought I'd bring that to you because I thought it was an interesting thing. The other thing I'd like to say is that, as we always talk about, they're always different. There are always different options out there. There are always different options for riders. And the interesting thing here in the UK, look, Harley-Davidson's are rife over here. Indian Motorcycles, there's lots of dealerships. A brand new one has opened up. They've just announced that they're going to do their big custom show here. There's press releases all about that. But there's an interesting bike here from Jawa Moto. This new retro twin. It's a I misread it. It's a 730cc retro twin. Let me show you this as well, because this is quite interesting. This, again, from Visor Down. They've got a story, a nice little story here on it as well. I mean, you should look at that. It's a street bike. I kind of like the look of it. I think, actually, there's something about it. I've always liked this kind of front end by these Jawa Moto, if you don't know. They're originally a Czech Republic brand. They had this brand since the 1920s, and then it's come and gone in and out of business. And then Jawa Moto, I think they went bust, and then Jawa Moto took over. It was a new company, took over the name. I think they're still trying to sell the vintage retro bikes, but they're also coming out with their new bikes. So I've always known Jawa from many, many years ago, and they always had this kind of Eastern Bloc feel to their bikes. And probably we saw them more here in Europe than you've ever done in the United States or anywhere else in the world. But they were exported to all over the world. So Jawa Moto, long line of a history, but they've got this brand new bike here. They've got this brand new bike which they're going to bring out, and this is a story from Visor Down. Let me read it out to you. In recent years, Jawa Moto has become somewhat of a forgotten brand in many parts of the world, but the Czech-born company is potentially planning to change that, starting with this new 730 twin. So it goes on to the history of it. So this is the interesting thing, right? Because I hadn't read the article fully, but I just wanted to draw your attention to this. Founded in 1929, Jawa Moto, originally Jawa Motorcycles, has not been a major player in European bike scene for some time. Jawa's presence in India has been a bit more noteworthy in recent times as Classic Legends, which is a subsidiary of the giant Mahindra Group. So Mahindra Group licenses the Jawa and Yezdi names and therefore deals with Jawa sales in that region. So I always thought that Jawa had some kind of relationship with Mahindra Group. Classic Legends, who also own BSA, of course. here in the UK, but I couldn't quite remember. Anyway, so they're coming out with this 730 bike. I mean, let me just show you some of the pictures here again. I actually quite like it. This new model is not to be confused with bikes sold under the Classic Legends umbrella, though, as the original Jawa Moto is behind the 730 twin, which draws parallels from the Jawa JD 730, which arrived in the Czech Republic in 2025, and which this new 730 twin is based on. This looks quite good. Spotted at the end of January, this new model, which is nearly production ready, according to Motorrad Online DE, the German publication, is said to feature a liquid-cooled parallel twin engine that produces 74 brake horsepower at 8,200 RPM. The new engine is claimed to be compliant with Euro 5 Plus, while an A2 licensed version with the power restricted to 47 brake horsepower is being planned by Jawa Moto. It features a premium spec sheet with its suspension handled by KYB suspension, upside down forks that are fully adjustable, matching rear shock. Stopping power comes from Brembo calipers with Bosch ABS, TFT screen, steel tubular frame, LED lighting all around, 213 kilos weight, and 16 litres of fuel. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot, actually. Okay, it depends on price. But again, this always comes back to what other options are available to. If you're hard and fast Harley-Davidson, if you're hard and fast Indian, if you're hard and fast BMW, Triumph, whatever it is, obviously you're not going to take another look at this. But there are some people who will. There are lots of people who will. So if we're just taking saying, okay, I just want a twin engine motorcycle. I don't know why I said that. A twin engine, twin cylinder engine motorcycle. Then you're either going to go V-twin or parallel twin, right? That's pretty much okay. You might go Moto Guzzi V60, but essentially you're basically going to go for a V or a parallel. This is going for a parallel here. It looks good. It looks good. I think the problem here, or not the problem, it's going to be the price. That's the thing. That's going to be the price. The price is going to have to entice you in, and it's going to want to make you go into it. And if you like this kind, it looks funky. It looks a bit weird. It looks a bit angular. Let's show you again. It looks a bit angular. With those fins on the side of the engine casing there. It does. The front end, that kind of very Eastern Bloc country, very Ural in many ways on the old Euro bikes. You've got a little bit of this, obviously, in Harley-Davidson and also Indian motorcycles with their Springfield, and also with the Road King, which has just been discontinued for Harley-Davidson. There's that nacelle type headline enclosure for the headlight, but very much Eastern European. You've got lots of options here. Lots of options for people to have their bikes, to have their bikes, to have their fill of bikes, to have their options and bikes, you can be hoodwinked into thinking that the only brand for me is this brand. The only bike I've got is this. But if you just remove that side of it, if you can, that is, if you just remove that bias, that side of it, and all you're focusing on is just the engineering aspect, the design of it, the function, the what type of engine it is, rather than who makes the engine, what power comes from that engine, as opposed to what power comes from the engine of my preferred brand. If you look at that, you're going to see a lot more value in other types of bikes. And I think this is what's happened. And this is what I've been championing for the last few years as well, to say, well, we've all got our own favourite brands or our own favourite bikes. But actually, you can look further afield and you'll find sometimes a lot better in terms of engine spec, in terms of design, in terms of quality, and it will cost you half the price. It will cost you half the price. I'd be very interested to see what happens here with Jawa Moto with this. It might be it's only going to go and come to Europe. It might, and India and places like that. I doubt this will be something that will go to the United States. However, that being said, if you're looking at this, again, you don't have to look at Jawa Moto themselves. You can look at other brands. Look at other brands that are offering different sorts of bikes. And there are lots of YouTube channels out there, whether in the United States, whether in Europe, whether all around the world, who do this, actually. They do look at other bikes. It's not just, a Triumph only brand, not only a Harley-Davidson, not only whatever it is. There are channels that are purely always going to promote a particular brand, and they're going to say that's great. And that's fine for them if that's what they want to do. I'm not that kind of person. I like to look at all sorts of bikes, see what else is on the market, and see what else other manufacturers are willing to do and willing to bring. So I kind of look at that, and I also look at, weighing up the odds of which is good here, which is not so good there. But I tell you what, some people will like it, some people will not like it. Some people will look at this and go, wow, this is great. And others will say, well, what a complete waste of time. Why are we talking? But what I'm saying to you is, even if this is not to your liking, there could be other bikes that are similar, not in design, but similar in terms of, what it can do, that might turn your heads away from the bike or the brand that you've always had. This is where I completely disagree with YouTube channels, for example, who only ever want to talk about one particular brand. And I think it's not that I disagree with them, that I dislike them or anything. It's just that I can't understand why you would only ever want to talk about one particular brand. I think having an appreciation of something else, it's always better for me. Sorry, I'm having a bit of a problem in putting up the chat on the screen here. So I do apologise. I'll just read them out here. Good morning from Iowa. Hello there. Good morning. How are you? EJDTM, ugly bike. What, the Jawa? Again, it depends what you like. I would like to say that I really wanted to see the Harley-Davidson Road Glide CVO Limited to be released next year, so I can see it in the website. Yes. Yeah, I think you were saying exactly the same yesterday, Haydar. You were saying exactly the same thing, that you wanted to see it. I've read it out now. Okay. You don't need to keep on repeating the same thing. I know that you want to see that bike. So see that bike. Wait for it to come out. Look at it on the website. Do whatever you want to do. Harley Davidson, they've just brought out this new kit for the CVOs. The Screaming Eagle 3. I question whether you would want to spend that. Look, if you've just gone and bought yourself a CVO, this would be my mindset. I'm going to spend 3,000 or 4,000, 5,000, whatever it is, on this upgrade, which I would question, do I really need? Do I really want? Or would I go and put it on another little fun bike, or actually go and get a second bike or something like that? That's where my mind is at. So wait for this Harley-Davidson Sprint to come out, if it ever comes out, right? I would just hold off. Don't spend the money on your upgrade. Personally, this is what I would do. I'd say, if I really wanted to spend this money and it's burning a hole in my pocket, I would just have a fun bike, a real fun bike that you just zip around on. So, and if Harley-Davidson is your brand, that's the only bike you're going to have, then hey, go look at this Sprint or go and get something else, But listen, I thought it was really interesting to see what Harley-Davidson were going to do with this Screaming Eagle kit. That's going to add to the standard CVOs, which will get rid of the VVT, and it adds 15-17% on horsepower and torque. On the normal STs, on the ST bikes, CVO STs, it only adds 5 and 4%. So, you know, I question what the point of all this is. Look, I know there's a lot of dick swinging in all motorcycle worlds, and especially in Harley-Davidson world, you know, that kind of thing. And especially if you just want to say, oh, look, my bike's got this and my bike's got that. But I think, you know, especially if you're getting these bikes good to go down the road, I just wonder, do you really need all that? Do you really, you know, and because we know that you're gonna be spending so much on these bikes anyway, in terms of accessories, in terms of lots of other things that you might want to spend, and also accessorizing yourself in terms of riding this bike, right? So, you know, I question why you'd want to do it. B-Bikes, hello. As we come to the end of the Zeitz era, many of us are hoping for Harley to pivot and push the Softail lines. I'm with you 100%. I think that's a failing for them this time. I thought they could have done a lot more with the Softails. Or focus on a smaller bike, yeah. I personally feel 52k for the CVO ST is a limited market and not sustainable. I completely agree. I said this in a previous video, live show as well. I thought it was very interesting how Harley-Davidson this year appeared to me, I can't say this is true or not, but it appeared to me that they were focusing on, again, the high-end tourer bikes, you know, the limited bikes. Those are not young people bikes. Regardless if you've got money, younger people are not going to be, they're older people, right? But also it was noticeable that they were investing a lot of time and marketing on the trikes as well. So again, it's those people who are not going to be on two wheels anymore, but still want to keep them in a Harley-Davidson fold and say, you know, just push you onto a trike, right? But I always question the numbers. I just wonder why they didn't do more with the Softails. I wonder why they haven't done more on the Revolution Max bikes. And you know, and this Sprint, when is this ever going to come out? I just don't know. I just can't see. Anyway, listen, guys. I thought I'd just bring that to you. Some interesting stuff coming out in news. Lots of small stories out there. But again, we're still waiting for the next month, really, for things to start ramping up in terms of riding seasons, the weather getting a bit warmer, people going out on their bikes and that sort of stuff. But look, thanks for joining. Thanks for joining the chat. I'll see if I can fix this chat for next time. I don't know why it suddenly just stopped working, but there we go. But I can see the chat on my other screen here, so that's why my eyes are constantly being diverted from the camera, because I am looking at other screens here as well, just to see what's going on. But listen, thanks for joining. Harley-Davidson with their new Screaming Eagle Kit 3, Stage 3 for the CVOs. Do you really like it? I'm not so sure. Other options out there, other manufacturers, and a lot of manufacturers you may not even heard of before, or some having a bit of a resurgence. I think they're doing some interesting stuff. Doesn't necessarily mean I think, oh yeah, that's a bike I'm gonna, buy and take money out of my wallet to go and buy. But I think it's interesting stuff out there as well. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. But thanks for joining. Thanks for joining the chat today. Really appreciate it. Thanks, and let us know in the comments. Yeah, keep on watching, keep on supporting, keep on doing what you do. Really appreciate it. Right, catch you again. Bye now.